And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster and I'm touching base with you as I always do. How are you all? And yeah, it's getting crazy in America. We probably be saying that every day that we come on live is a crazy day in America. Yesterday, it looks like the Democrats saved Medicaid. Medicare. Medicaid. And the Democrats need to make sure everyone knows about it. We're going to talk about that. We got a lot to talk about. Today is water cooler talk, so we just talk whatever subject that the audience wants to talk about. I will talk about some subjects. I have some Instagram footage that you guys sent me that I'm going to share with the community because that's how you guys roll. You send me stuff and you slide into my DMs and you let me know what you are seeing out in the world. And we're going to share some of those videos because it is crazy out there. The world is getting more crazy and it's only been 8 full days of the Orange Man in the administration. We're going to have some guests on. We're going to talk about some stuff. Gwendolyn's in the back room right now waiting for us to, for our greeting time. So let me say hello to some folks. Okay, Hannah is the first in the building. Hannah is in the building first a lot. Just saying. But it can only be one first person. Anyway, so hi, Hannah. She says, good morning, Ron and Touch Base Daily family. We got Gwendolyn, who's number 2. Good morning, she says. And third place, Jazzy is in the building. She says, good morning, beautiful people, sending her roses. And we got Lisa. Good morning, she says. Good morning, Omar. Mr. Omar is in the building. Omar Ramos is in the building from his tower in the sky. And we have Bryson Leach is in the building. And, I need to take a sip. Every time I see Bryson, it means take a sip because he says, what's up, Ron? What's up, RLP fam? What's up, CQ fam? It's officially hump day for sure. January is almost over. February is almost here. Thank you, Bryson. And we're all caught up. There we go. So let's see who's also in the Instagram world. I said, I got to make sure I start including my Instagram folks, because some folks, they just can't, they don't seem to be on the bandwagon of getting onto our YouTube channel. But if you're over in YouTube, make sure you come over. If you're over in Instagram, come over to YouTube. A better experience. Okay, folks. Let's see here. Woo! Hey, A is in the building. She says, Grand Rising, Ron. Touch Base Daily. Happy Wellness Wednesday. Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you and that you may be in good health as it goes well with your soul, says John. 3 John. 3 John. John 3 John 1. Chapter 1, verse 2. Thank you, Aya. Thank you. Yes, I've been getting some really good messages. Good praying, folks. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. I have to leave the chair because I forgot I put the rice on. There we go. That is so really on streaming. I was making some wild rice, and I was like, I think I smell it. So anyway, it didn't burn. It's just boiling. I just can smell it in the house. What's going on? Let's see who else is in the building. I see Kelly is in the building. Omar says, who has rice for breakfast? It is not for breakfast. It's for later on. I thawed out my salmon and I soaked the wild rice, because it's organic white rice. I had to soak it overnight. Well, it's been soaked for almost 2 days now. And then you can cook it. So Anyways, it is preparing for dinner because I have a photo shoot this evening in Midtown Manhattan. So I am trying to get everything done early in the morning. I did my walk. I put in my 4 miles. I did my grocery shopping. I am ready for the day. So it was a good start. Okay, who else is in the building? I see in the building. I see here. Gwendolyn said, "Who cooks while being live?" I forgot. I totally forgot what time it was. Oh, goodness. And Lisa says, "You are already making rice? I'm just having my first cup of joe." See, that's the beauty of transparency. I could have just simply said, "Excuse me, I got something to take care of." But, I knew you guys. I know. I know you all. Some of you would make fun of it. I knew you would. Anyway. Gwendolyn says, "Country folks have rice for breakfast." They certainly do. What's up, Derek? I see you in the building, Mr. DT Tuggle. DT Tuggle and a couple of folks joined me last night on my Twitch at night. Yes, there is something called Twitch at night, and I've been playing around with this idea because I'm usually up between 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock getting ready for bed. Like kind of getting ready for because I usually go to bed like midnight, 15 minutes after midnight, depending on how fast I do my Wordle. So I introduced Wordle last night as the clock struck 12 day. She was in the audience. She said, "What is Wordle?" And then I said, "Let me share it with you." So we had a good time last night. So and those that are in Twitch, because right now there are folks in the Twitch world. Okay, let's see here. Country, I got that. Hey, Mr. Jamel Shabazz is in the building. He says, "Grand Rising, fam. Grand Rising." We have D Saba. I love that name. For some reason, my A isn't functioning, but back at you, Hannah and Omar. Good morning. Oh, and I see you. I see you. I see Alieze. Alieze says good morning, and she's in the back row, so she's going to be joining us also. And we got Janet in the building. She says, "Omar, remember cream of rice cereal?" That was rice. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Janet. So if I was going to have it for breakfast, it would not be a bad thing. Anyways, Gwyneth's comments are not coming up from me. What can I do? Okay, so Gwendolyn, I want to say something. Maybe it's something in how your page is generating your comments, because you have a link, like a link symbol by your face inside. Let me show you. Oh, it doesn't show up on the screen, but yeah, you have like a little icon there in the chat box, in the chat. Chris R is in the building. What's going on, Chris R? Hey, and we just lost 10 people. Just like, boom, they just disappeared. Oh, what happened there? There must be a glitch. Just 10 people gone. Okay, and I see everyone here, but 10 people just fell off the number chart here. Alieze says Lisa says, "Oh, hold on a second. It's going too fast. You guys are going too fast." Lisa says, "I can't see her comments either." Really? So there's something going on right now. Maybe there's something going on with YouTube? That would be rare. That would be rare. Oh, that's what G says. Lisa says, she say, "Lisa, I'm chatting in the studio chat, so you won't see them." Ah, that's what that little symbol means. You learn something every day. Because you guys see the little symbol on her picture, right? In the chat. Everyone else doesn't have that little symbol. So just saying. Okay, guys. What should we talk about first? Oh my gosh. Well, can we all say thank you to the Democrats that came to the rescue yesterday and went all in and said, "You will not do this." I mean, they were suspending the grants and loan programs across the board. Oh, let me bring in the ladies. Let me bring in the ladies. I can't handle this conversation by myself. I need some inputs. Here's Miss Gwendolyn dancing.
Always.
And
Always dancing.
there she is, not dancing.
No, not dancing. Watching Gwendolyn dance.
Got her art back up on the wall.
Absolutely. It's gonna stay there. Anytime I go live, that piece is gonna be right there. Girl, try to take us back to the past. I'm not going.
Yes, yes.
And my hat. Told my husband this is gonna be my hat. My black 5/5 hat.
That's right. It is getting crazy in these streets. It is getting crazy in these streets. I mean, for those, again, we will say, because Alieze has been our captain in this area, our chief on Project 2025. And then for those that don't believe it, well, hello, we are in it. We are in Project 2025, and it's being executed every day. I like when Lisa said yesterday, let's see what page 10 offers today. It's like they're going one page at a time. It's going one page. It's been the insanity, but people don't realize. There was a video. I'm going to see if I can bring it up later. There was this, and you probably also, it was viral yesterday, of this young lady in her kitchen crying, and they remixed that video so many times. And she was crying because she was saying that she had her kids, she's on, I think she says food snaps, and she couldn't get food. And she said the food that they have, she can't work. And now they're not going to have food. The money that she gets already is not enough. And now they're canceling it. We won't be able to get any food for the children. She's crying, she's weeping, and then she falls out to the floor. And all I could say in the comment box, F-A, F-O. And I did give a tear because it's sad. Well, usually I do my popcorn. Gwendolyn gave me the face. I usually do a popcorn and a glass of wine. But she was giving it. If she was faking it, the woman needs to be nominated for the Oscars, because she was having a moment. But again, when reality hits you, or like they used to say, when reality smacks you in the face, you feel some kind of way. Yes, Gwendolyn, I see you got something to say.
All right, so let me get myself together. Hold on. I will go ahead and ask for any kind of forgiveness because I might just say something. But real talk. In moments like this, and I have said this and I'll keep saying it, this is where you really need your support circle and an authentic community. Like real talk. I have been homeless. I have called for help. I have had to ask for assistance. So I understand the idea of really feeling the pressure, right? Concern like if my car gets repoed or anything else. So I understand that. Mm-hmm. I also recognize that with this reality TV life that we're living, that we put somebody in the White House who's not qualified and also a felon, that sometimes we do stuff for theatrics and attention. I'm not saying that what she's going through isn't legit. However, all of the extra, tears and things is like, seriously, like I don't fully understand putting that on display. I understand being vulnerable and having a serious conversation about what should happen next. That I can get. The whole theatrics is falling out. It's like going to somebody's funeral. All of a sudden, you all upset and hooting and hollering. That shit means nothing. Nada. So I'm not understanding this whole multiple people displaying this. I just can't believe it. I just cut that shit out, man. Cut it out. Can we be serious about what we're supposed to do next? Now, personally, as I've said it, I limit myself on some of this. I catch it on the weekend. I get the highlights because all of this is done by design. It gets into your head. It's a mind game. You create mad chaos and disruption and dysfunction, and people get all caught up in it. Save your emotions, man. There's a bigger fight ahead. Save your emotions, get in the nosebleeds, get your popcorn, your bottle of wine, and sit down. Because this is not it. None of this is it. There's so much that needs to happen, but I'm gonna let Miss Alieze say her part.
Well, before she goes, I just wanted to share because some of you may not have seen the video because I know like Alieze is not on social media, and a lot of people are not on social media these days.
Somebody to fucking tell me they're. So this young lady is upset and fearful about losing her SNAP benefits, which will cause her not to be able to feed her kids. Now, I don't know who this young lady voted for, but I am seeing a lot of folk online who don't understand what's really about to happen. For example, I saw an interview that CNN did with a white school principal in a predominantly white town who talked about how the children at the school depend on free lunch and all of these things that they get from, government funding. And when the news reporter asked her what would happen if Trump eliminated the Department of Education and the school lost funding, she said it would be devastating. She said it would be so devastating for those children in that town, And so when they asked her who she voted for, she said Trump, as well as the majority, according to the statistics, majority of the people in that town voted for Trump. And so the news reporter was like, well, why would you do that if he had already told you that he was going to eliminate the Department of Education and all this? And, the kids are. And she says, oh, we don't think he's really going to do it. She said, we don't think he's really going to do that. A lot of them, sadly, are about to F around and find out, in my opinion. I think they're about to F around and find out that this man was always for people, billionaires, people that are not even in their tax bracket. But what the GOP has been successful at doing over the years is using certain triggers to keep people that are really at the bottom voting for them, right? So they'll use things like abortion and your freedoms are being taken away and in the Bible and God, and we need prayer in schools, all while, stuff like this is happening with the freeze and the potential freezing of benefits. So y'all, again, I would not want any child to go hungry. I was a single mother for 5 years. I know how hard it is. And I'm really hoping no kids are going hungry at the results of this. But yeah, a lot of people are about to F around and find out.
So there you have it. Again, I didn't show her the girls, crying and weeping and everything. We got Dr. Tachi also.
You didn't show her falling on the floor.
Yeah, it wasn't worth seeing. But hey, Dr. Tachi. But it was. The thing is that I should say the thing. The information's out there, and again, people have been talking about Project 2025 for 2 years. And Alieze really put us onto it about a year and a half ago. And so we've been talking about on this platform, and so many people have been talking about it across the nation, across the country, every rally, all the rallies, every campaign, it really took off when Kamala started running. They really went into warning folks about Project 2025, and it's happening. And but I have to say, in a lot of cases, yesterday morning, I was pissed off from. We are now in January. The election was in November. And I am wondering, I'm perplexed by in my mind of where are the Democrats? Where is the leadership? Where are the people in this, on TV, on the streets, having rallies? I would think that the leadership of the Democrat Party, one, is restructured, because the Democrat Party needs to change their messaging. It's not about the middle class and the working class only. They need to start, and I kept saying this all last year, they need to include the poor. When that poor American movement was going on by the preacher down in the southern states, and he was rallying and going to all these places, there were very few Democrat leaders that were part of it. And the biggest voting bloc in America are the poor, if they would vote. What says you, Alieze?
So I'm just digesting everything you just said. Because I have heard a lot of people say, "What are Democrats? What are Democrats?" I see a lot of Democrats saying some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How widely circulated is the stuff they're saying? The things that they're saying. They come out and talked about this. The Democrats tried to warn people about Project 2025. They said all Trump had to tell the people was, "It's not real. I don't know anything about it. Oh, there's some things in it that are good and some things are bad." Although he said he had never seen it before, right?
That's right.
They didn't take that into account. And what some of the people didn't understand, and I want to be real clear when you say working class and middle class. Working class people are poor.
That's right.
Poor does not mean unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
Poor means I'm not earning enough to sufficiently take care of myself and my children or my family and get housing. So you have working class people. There's some states where the teachers are receiving SNAP benefits.
Yes.
Because they qualify because their salaries are so low. So those are working class poor people. So there's a working class poor. And I think they did try to address that. I think we have to look at what the policies were that were in place. However, when it comes to SNAP and the lady crying, 42 or 43% of the people receiving that are white.
Yes. Same thing like we always said about welfare.
But because they got them to, they've been able to manipulate them. And I said this the other day, to see whenever you say poor, you see black. Whenever you say DEI, you see black. They so conditioned the people that they didn't see themselves as the ones receiving it. So they're standing in line, standing up there saying, "Oh, they're just gonna do that, and it's gonna be other people." The reality is that it's them. And so, then the white women's tears come out, and they love the internet has given them the ability, as Gwendolyn said, to put on the performance and to try to elicit sympathy. You can't have sympathy for people who ignore their plight, right? They ignore what was being shared, not to believe it, and not to believe what that man told them from the beginning. He told them from the beginning, "I don't care about you. I just want your vote."
Yes.
And I think it's also, we have to start looking at the citizens. Like, we have to look at ourselves as well when it comes. And, we already said, look, marching, who marching? I told my husband, if black people decide we got to come out because it's something about us, we gonna be us. We're not joining up in anybody's just march. So you can have a white Democrat stand up there and say, "We marching tomorrow." Guess who not showing up? We're not coming, because we've been out there. We've been out there working. We've been out there doing a lot of things. 92%, especially black women, 92% of black women voted for the other person. We're not just trying to march. We need to, whatever we do, we need to be organized. We need to have a purpose. We need to not sit in shock and awe and say, "Oh, we're surprised at what happened." There's nothing that should surprise you. That's happening. And we need to not get out. So as Gwendolyn said, the intention is to shoot out all of these things. It's like shooting I'm trying to figure out how the analogy. So it's like I told my husband, it's like a bunch of confetti falling all at one time, and you're trying to catch it all.
Oh, you just saying confetti, you're talking Gwendolyn's language.
You can't catch all the confetti, right? You need to decide what part of that confetti you're gonna catch. Focus on the piece you're gonna catch. And that's what we're gonna have to start being. Focus on what are we gonna focus on? And
Bannon said, not to cut you off, but Bannon said exactly what you said. Remember, he said back in 2000, I think it was 2019, we're going to win this battle because we also want, we're going to throw everything every day. We're going to throw 3 or 4 things out into the ecosystem to confuse them. They will focus on one, but we'll get 3 through.
Right.
You know, so it's like throw everything out. They'll focus on 1 or 2, but we'll get through 1 or 2 or 2 or 3.
Right.
I just wanted to bring the information to you guys on who this affects. Trump just ordered a federal spending freeze. This was yesterday.
Right.
And who affects? Here are some of the programs that could be impacted: Medicaid, school breakfast lunch programs, Section 8 rental assistance, Title I education grants, temporary assistance for needy families, state grants for childcare, Head Start, the special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children, Department of Housing and Urban Development's Community Development Block Grant Program, and the wonderful EPA grants for clean water infrastructure. Just wanted to let people know. This is who this Trump freeze affects all of these areas, and notice that none of these areas are for rich people.
Of course not. But if you go into Project 2025, each one of those items are in there. Head Start they're attacking Head Start big time in there. They don't, and you know, say, why do they want to attack Head Start so much?
Education.
And you know, when I did see Governor Walz, so I do go back and forth in there, but I saw Governor Walz saying that when that freeze came out, there were people who were not paying the people who were doing Head Start work because they weren't going to get those grants. You have people doing all sorts of work that's impacted by that. I have a friend who's a therapist. She has clients who get Medicaid rather. She has clients who have Medicaid. So will she get paid for her services? So it's much bigger than you think.
It's huge. It affects a large swath across the nation.
Right. And people have, and you know, a lot of people, particularly you take Title I education programs, right? So those people, especially some of those folks that say, hey, we voted for this man. We voted for him. Hey, look at us.
He ain't doing nothing for us. She ain't doing nothing for us.
Their whole schools are Title I.
Yes.
They take Title I funds, your entire school. My granddaughter goes to a Title I school in DC. The Title I school loses its funding. Some Title I funds are attached to students, and the whole school is not Title I, but there are students who are in there receiving Title I services. It's also going to impact the IDEA, which is the Individuals with Disability Education Act. It's going to impact that as well, because those are all funds. It's going to impact, and as you say, you know, I know that I saw online that they've taken the Spanish translations off the White House Act. So it also supports. They're also going to lose support for those programs that they have set aside for the students who are language learners, English language learner programs.
Wow. Let me let Dr. Tachi in.
Go ahead.
Let's talk to Dr. Tachi. Dr. Tachi, you're an educator and you have students. You are helping people 24/7. I mean, did you get any phone calls yesterday, or anyone was talking about, oh my gosh, what's happening, or was it just kind of like quiet where you are?
Well, it's a little bit quiet, and I keep quiet about things because I teach at UMGC. And so, Alieze, I'm sure you know UMGC. It's University of Maryland Global Campus. That campus was founded for military personnel. So I have an awful lot of military students. So how do I say this? There's a culture among many military that they voted the other way.
Yes.
So they're not going to open their mouths about any of this at all. I try to keep the classroom politics free, because it
Yes.
can tend to get disrespectful when it goes
Uh-huh.
that way. And I already know I'm at a school that it's almost an oxymoron, because it's military, and you know that sometimes military think that certain way, very conservatively, yet the academy is supposed to be this free and open marketplace of ideas, which we know is rubbish. It's really not, but that's what people see it as. So there's this dichotomy and oxymoron at the same time. So I haven't heard much from them, but it will be interesting to see, because remember, this Tang is the one that detests you, military. And so now, not only am I teaching military, this is also a state school that also gets some federal funding. So I want to see how supportive you are of him when they start to snatch all these benefits away, including your ability to go to school. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that is what is on the chopping block, but everything is fair game.
Yeah.
So nothing, I'm just postulating. I haven't heard anything directly from students, but here's the thing. Two things. I think that the reason that they have you by the big toe is because we are so dependent on them. And rightfully so, because I bloody pay taxes. So
Yes.
don't bloody charge me taxes if you're not going to give me services. You don't deserve a damn dime of my money if you're not going to provide the services. I don't want to see near a damn pothole, nothing, when I'm paying taxes. Nothing should be wrong. Don't come to me with explanations. Hire who you need to, but so you're taxing people, but now you're trying to cut the services. You do realize we pay for those things. Did you think you gave them as a gift? Awful Blancanya? You didn't. We paid for it. So that's one thing. On the other side, the young lady who flung herself on the ground like a toddler having a tantrum, and I'm not trying to be rude here, but did you have that same energy when other things were happening? Probably not, because now it's affecting you.
And like you just said, when it was going to happen to someone else that was probably of another skin color or another ethnic group, you didn't have that kind of energy for them.
Because it's not you. And the whole thing is, because the default has been you, you don't have to think outside of yourself where what happens. So when it does happen to you, you are shocked and awed because it happened to you, because you are the default and you're not used to that happening to you. So the whole thing is, as you were giving the example of, oh, well, this teacher's principal over here, they all voted for Tang. Okay. Well, now you are in the FO stage, the find out stage.
That's right. It's all about the find out stage. Now, FA already happened.
So now they're finding out.
Now they're finding out.
What happens too is they're also, just watch carefully, they're still leaning on those of us of color, particularly Black people, to show sympathy to things, because we always have. If you look in the comments of these places, they're like, well, that's what happens, but I feel sorry for the kids. Okay, kids are innocent. You don't want that to happen. How the hell ever their parents made the bed. Now all of them need to lie in that big 18-foot bed together. Sorry, you're a child, but next time maybe your parents will think about that before they do things. We always come, well, it's just a child. No, that's how they get us every time, by playing on our sympathy, because they know we are people of God. They know we are people of valor. They know we will not let for injustice to stand. We won't let injustice stand. And they know we'll do that every time. Sometimes we just have to let the empire fall along with the kids.
I am with you. And this is along the lines, this video is along the lines of what Gwendolyn was saying earlier. And so let's see me hear it. Oops.
Law. I don't want to cause a panic. I hope I'm wrong, but if you don't want to hear this, I totally understand. However, you should know that at 5 p.m. today, some very big things are going to happen that will probably trigger a series of events unless someone steps in to stop it. Trump just signed an executive order freezing the disbursement of all federal grants, which covers trillions of dollars. According to his own memo, 3 trillion at least. This doesn't just cover research grants, charities and stuff, but also housing subsidies, SNAP, EBT, which helped millions of Americans, including, by the way, hundreds of thousands of military families and over 1 million veterans. The total US GDP sits around $27 trillion. So if the $3 trillion estimate is accurate, they just put a freeze on about 10% of the economy. So it's not just these people who are going to be affected. This also, by the way, includes many domestic infrastructure and energy projects. So he just froze spending on roads and bridges. For those of you excited about this, you can get all this information yourself, but on to my point. Nearly 42 million Americans receive SNAP benefits, and that's still not enough. By the way, 86% of SNAP eligible households with a working age adult who's not also on disability report income. So they work. But basically 12.5% of the US population is about to lose the ability to pay for the meager amounts of food that they can afford. Add to that the efforts to make all these groceries far more expensive, including scaring away all the low-cost labor. They want people hungry and desperate quickly. Not only will it manufacture consent for basically rounding up all the cheap labor and turning it into free labor under the 13th Amendment, which, as we all know, legalizes slavery for imprisoned people, but a lot of people are about to become very desperate very quickly. There is a reason they also released people who were violent against cops. They want us to be a tinderbox. And the worst part is that the alternative isn't any better. The alternative is that we're all too afraid to do anything because we know that they just want the excuse to declare martial law. So we will all just let it happen. Pick your poison, I guess. The freeze goes into effect at 5 p.m. today.
So she, now I know this, the fear, because this is in Project 2025 too, the martial law, and that is in Project 2025. And if this young lady is right, as in creating an environment, oh, here we go. Hold on a second, let me pop this off. This is causing all this stressors. Now I know Gwendolyn she'll give her a point, but I can see her side step there. But I'm curious. What do you guys think? I mean, what do you think about what this woman is saying? But I do remember reading in Project 2025 that they do want martial law. The whole key is to get the society heated up and to cause outrages, to cause people to go out into the streets, to cause them to go to protest. But now they got people that are in charge that will fire on the protesters, that will cause havoc on the protesters. And then the protesters will then fight back, causing upheaval. And then the government gets a chance to declare martial law. What do you think? Is that possible? Is that something that, I mean, well, so far, Project 2025, they're trying to implement it and they are doing it. And if that's part of it, what do you guys think?
So let me say this. It's not that they are trying to do it. It was already started like last year. A lot of the policies, a lot of the bills that have been played around with and passed in Florida and Louisiana and Oklahoma and Texas were already part of that. Even in, I think it was Iowa, rolling back child labor laws, all that stuff was already in there. So we're just playing catch up. So first, for this video right here, what irritates me is this whole idea of people are going to be afraid. I don't know who she's talking about. Like, I don't know, because maybe in her family, that's how that rolls. In my family, we don't do that. This is when you move in silence. This is when you move in silence. You don't tell people what you're about to do. You don't show your hand. But nobody, we'll take it back. We're not afraid over here. I said this Friday. I am not worried. I may be concerned, but I am not worried. Now, I know that I get on my knees all the time. We stay in prayer. Right? We stay prayed up. We also stay prepared and ready. Now, we got two different people operating right now. A lot of us have been through some hard times. We have seen the things, which is why I keep saying, have your beans and rice ready, because you may have to fall back on that. You know what I'm saying? But other people have never had that life, have never had anything truly taken from them. I understand them being fearful and being afraid because they'd never fight because somebody else was already there fighting for them. Someone else always shows up. That day is over. You got to get in where you fit in. Nuck if you buck. You know what I'm saying? So this is where we are. This whole deal of I'm going to sit on the sidelines and I'm not going to say anything. You wouldn't have the civil rights you have today if somebody didn't decide to put their life on the line. This is where we are. Figure out how much it matters to you. You either going to be like, I'm just going to go with the flow and roll with it, or you finna get up and fight for something. If you want it, you have to fight for it. That's about it.
Where's the collection plate? No, I agree. Go ahead, Dr. Tachi.
I 100% agree, because here's the thing. I'm not saying that there is not a level of concern amongst everyone. Yeah, there's concern. But do you see chocolate people up in arms about? Not really, because this is just business as usual for a lot of us. We have seen this before. We're like, oh, okay. And maybe it hasn't been as strong in recent years, but it was always there. So we've always slept with one eye open. We've always had the plan to the backup plan to the backup plan. We've been living this. I mean, and it's terrible to say, but that prepares you for anything. So we're like, oh, okay. We already know what we have to do, and we're not going to tell you.
Exactly. Exactly. You're exactly right. We've been through this. We fought for this. We are, as Gwendolyn said, most people don't want to acknowledge it. You have the rights you have because of Black people and what they did and what they advocated for. And of course that's one of the reasons some of them are so frustrated when we say, well, don't call us to your march, because they're so used to us being there. They're so used to us leading the charge on fighting for the rights, because they know where they got the rights from. They know who died and suffered for that, but they're still looking for the bailout. And we're gonna have to figure out, what do we do for ourselves? That's the most important thing. What do we do for ourselves? And I'm like Gwendolyn, I'm not afraid. Like I said, I'm not sitting in shock and awe and fear.
Not me either.
In my house at all, because we have, and Dr. Tachi said, we've been through all of this. I grew up in Tuskegee, Alabama. I've seen chain gangs and all that stuff with the rifles and the horses, why people do the work out there in the fields and cutting grass. I've seen all of that. So we grew up with these things. We grew up with segregation. We grew up with not having, but making it a way out of no way, and understanding if I wanted some toast, I knew how to put it in that oven, put a little sugar and butter on it, and have toast.
Man,
we knew how to do that.
I know that's right. I this is something that Roland said last night, and no, 2 days ago, and I wanted to just bring it to your attention. And this was also some of you guys put this in my feed, and I wanted to share it. Hold on, let me get this cued in.
Why this is important is because the 1964 Civil Rights Act is the enforcement mechanism that has led to all of these changes for Black America since that period. So what they understand, if we assault the 1964 Civil Rights Act and get rid of that, and then we completely get rid of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, what we have effectively done is gutted Black leadership and African Americans from being able to take advantage of what happens in this country. So while a lot of y'all are bullshitting around on whether you can be on fucking TikTok, while you're getting caught up in some bullshit housewife, while you're having your fucking MJ and LeBron debates on who's the GOAT, there is literally, as we speak, an entire focus to gut every single civil right and economic gain that we have had since 1964, because they are pissed with those three acts. They're pissed with the Brown versus Board of Education Act. You have voucher bills that are being pushed in Texas and Tennessee and other places to gut public education. What we have to understand is there is a vicious assault to completely defund Black America. Do understand right now you have at least 4 Supreme Court justices who would love to completely get rid of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And why this is important is because the 1964 Civil Rights Act is the enforcement mechanism that has led to all of these changes for Black America since that period. So what they understand, if we assault the 1964 Civil Rights Act and get rid of that, and then we completely get rid of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, what we have effectively done is gutted Black leadership and African Americans from being able to take advantage of what happens in this country.
And he knocks it out the ballpark. And I have to say, and again, we all know that the 1964 Act, the greatest beneficiaries of it, well, are not Black people. I mean, we've gotten some benefits, but it's everyone else that's got the benefits. And you would think everyone would be alarmed but they don't know that. They think the Civil Rights Act is all about Black people. I mean, I'm talking about people outside the community, outside people that are of color. I mean, that are not of color. Or the people that are Asian, or the people that are Native American, or the people that are, they don't realize that Civil Rights Act gave them the ability to move up in America, to come to this country, to grow and to become part of industries and schools. But again, they forget what happens to it in your mindset may be the least of them. When they come for the least of them, they're coming for you later. They're just, we already know through history, they start with the small groups and then work their way up until they can't go any longer. Alieze?
Yeah, so this is mind work, right? So they've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, and made to believe that Black people are their enemy, when everything that they have is because of the benefits they received from the fight that Black people did. And if you're like doing Reconstruction, the first Civil Rights Bill came during Reconstruction.
Yes.
In the 1800s. So when we say back to the past, we're not just talking about 1964. They're not just trying to stop.
Oh, no, they're going for 13 and 14 and 15. Yes.
That if they could, we'd be working in the fields.
That's right.
That's what they would do. And they have manipulated people so much that they don't understand. And I saw someone break this down, that the biggest beneficiary were white women, white men. Then you had Latinos, Asians, indigenous people, veterans.
Yes, we shared that yesterday.
The one on the very bottom were Black people.
That's right.
That benefited. We benefited the least, even though we fought and died at higher rates, right? We fought harder than any of these other groups did to get these pieces in place for them to have. And getting people, they don't understand that they were able to trick your mind by calling it DEI. Instead of saying what it really was. It was equal opportunity. It was fair access to things for everybody. And the only people that were the people at the very top is the 1%, the very rich. And they know they got to keep everybody at the bottom fighting each other. So they had to pick a target. We're the target. We're the target because we're their shame. We're the target because we fought the hardest for all of these things to exist. We're the ones that fought and died for it to get here. And so that's why they do it. And so you make the ones who fought the hardest and got the most benefits for everyone else the scapegoat for what you're doing. And so they have been conditioned and groomed for years for this. You got to think about it. They've been fighting this for, some people want to say since 1964. They've been fighting this fight since Reconstruction.
There's Reconstruction.
They've been fighting this fight. I'll put it further back than that. They've been fighting this ever since emancipation. And that 14th Amendment with the birthright citizenship. I just want Black people in America to understand that was because we were not. At one point, we weren't 5/5. We were 3/5. We were not citizens. And they realized that they wanted us. That's when that part came in there, so that we could be full citizens of a country that our ancestors had been kidnapped into, and we have been birthed out of. And that's
Can I add to you? They also realized that you can't tax people that are not people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, we need to increase the base. Let's make them people, because we can tax them at that point.
Absolutely. And my states can get more benefits. Like, we were 3/5 because the southern states used us to get more benefits for their state.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't allow us to be fully human, because then you have to admit that you were doing these things to a full human being. So that's why we were 3/5. But when we look at the part, and Jazzy and I talk about this all the time, the Reconstruction period is not talked about enough for people to understand how everyone benefited from the work of those Black legislators who were only in place for a few years, how much work they got done for everyone in this country.
That's right. That's right. Think about, Reconstruction was, you have to think about the Reconstruction period, and what those Black leaders did was phenomenal after a civil war, to be able to get that 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and 15th Amendment in. It's remarkable, because they're called the Reconstruction Amendments.
Right.
And so much was put into that. But these folks that are in the Trump administrations, they want to take you pre 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. So Project 2025 is to go before that. They want all those freedoms gone. Because again, those freedoms that were put in place because Black people fought for them, literally on the field, as in the battlefield, and in the legislative bodies, other people benefited from that. All of the Americans that come here benefited from that 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment that still affects us to this day. So, Gwendolyn, you had something to say?
Yeah, I made a comment. I shared a video yesterday about how none of this is about immigration. It's
no, exactly.
It's the carrot, right? It's something to get people riled up. And so someone made a comment to me that the only people who are saying it's not about jobs and immigration are people who are middle, upper class, or the 10%. And so I said, so I know I'm not 10%. So am I middle, upper class? Like, I'm trying to figure it out. And so in chatting with this person, they started sharing things like, illegal immigrants don't pay taxes. This and this happens. They've taken our jobs. I said, the person you should be talking to are all the American companies that
don't pay taxes
jobs and went overseas.
Yes.
They took your jobs. That's where your job is, right? Like, that's where the work went. But we like to, again, for some of us, we like to think, well, it must be this person who's taking my job because this is cheap labor. Keep in mind, there are states that have rolled back child labor laws to exploit children because they don't want to pay adults what adults should be paid for the work in this country. But you have to be in a really bad spot to figure that out, right? Now, I was born into this skin, so I come in with like a different programming, but whatever. But for other people, things have to really burn. And sometimes you have to let a bitch burn down for folks to figure out, okay, maybe we do have some problems here, and maybe I'm not part of this. We're talking about going against identity politics, right? That's a deeper devil to deal with because we want to be part of this. There is nothing, I said before, there is not a rich man anywhere who has ever said anything to me that has resonated because you haven't fought for anything. Not in my opinion. Your daddy, your mama giving you money, giving you land, giving you a leg up. You have not fought for anything. So I see no way how we could be on the same page, but there are a number of people who wish to be the guy who's in the White House, who believe that they have, or should say are entitled to, a plantation with some good niggas.
Did we lose Gwendolyn?
Oh, she froze.
She froze.
What's
She's back.
She's back.
Huh?
You froze. You froze.
Did I freeze? Because I was
You
getting,
froze for just a
getting
moment,
animated.
just a little bit, just a little bit.
Whew, I get kind of excited.
You.
But at the end of the day, it's going to take a lot for people to realize that this is really about them. But you're asking people to, again, give up comfort. That's easy.
May I add to that?
Yes, go ahead.
Definitely giving up comfort is one thing that goes back to the whole Target conversation that we've had earlier this week, asking people to give up convenience and comfort. And then, well, it's really not so bad. Oh, well, make sure because we don't want the Black people that are already in Target. Damn those people. I'm sorry, but I'm not sacrificing for, the few. So it goes back to that whole thing. But I think this is also a larger international issue, right? Even though we act like we don't care about other people, or honestly, America often does not care about other people. But this is a larger effort. The only thing that people in this country understand is lack of money, is bottom line, is finances. Where are the people that are like economic sanctions? Where are the people? No, we're no longer your trade partner. Where are those people? Why has this country been allowed to dictate and strong arm when it comes to that, when they don't have to? This country produces very little timber, firewood. Okay, nice. But other than that, it produces very little, even down to the technology. Most of it is produced elsewhere. When you hold so it's like the Pavlov's dog thing, or the dog in the crate thing, right? You open the door to let them out, but nobody does anything. You hold the keys. Congo, you make cobalt. You don't have to deal with us. You don't have to trade with us. So really, it's also going to be on these countries that are supposedly the partners. If you're for human rights and you see what's happening, in good conscience, we cannot trade with you. We are done.
Well, this is one of the things I'm always saying about the international part. And again, we know that this Christian white nationalist, this movement of, I'm gonna have to say, Roland Martin. I've been really listening to a lot of things he's been saying. His book is so good. What's it called? The Blackening of America, and it talks about all of the things that are happening and the fear. Oh, it's called White Fear. That's what it's called, White Fear. And he breaks it down, because around the globe in all of these countries, that was the big problem that was the whole part of Brexit. And when you look at the UK and you think about Brexit, it's not faring well for them. They've lost so much in their economy on bigotry that people were upset because the browning of the UK. I mean, they could not handle it. They were freaking out. People in the countryside, they were like, where are these immigrants coming from? And when you go to London, you can see it. I always say, when I'm in London, it feels more brown in the streets than in New York. I mean, we got a lot. Again, New York City, America, 13-14%. We have a good Black population, people of color in New York. But when you're in London, you really see it. You got Pakistanians, you got Indians, you got Africans, you got Americans, you got it is so brown. When you walk around the streets, and people were freaking out in the UK. And they said, we want to separate from Europe. And what good did that happen? The same thing happened in America. We want to decouple from the rest of the world. It doesn't end well. It never has. We are a global economy. We are global citizens. We need the community of the global world. And everyone plays a part. But what's happening is there is a segment of the white population that has lost their minds, as the book says, because of their fear that we, people of color, are going to do to them what they did to us around
And it would
the
serve
globe.
you right if we did. It would serve you good and right.
You know, but the rest of the world doesn't think that way.
But I've gotten that question a lot, several times actually, from people who were from other countries. One was a young man who's first generation Nigerian.
Yes.
And he was out to dinner with my son and some other people. And his statement was, I don't understand why black Americans don't do blah, blah. I said, let me explain it to you. Let me break down what black Americans have done and what black Americans have died from. I said, so the way they did it was to assassinate these people, just like they used to lynch people to put fear in you. And so they used the fear to do that. And I said, so you don't understand that everything you have as being able to walk into here and end up going to Wharton School of Business is because of those black Americans and how they sacrificed.
There
so
you go.
And so it's really to explain to people that's how you got your access. And I think that's a part of our conversation that has to go across lines. And as you talk about the numbers of white people, well, the majority of them voted for this. You know,
53% of white people voted for Trump.
I told my husband, my family always looked at me. It's like, well, for a minute, I was considered to be prejudiced in my own household because I always told the truth about race relations in America. But however, when the orange man got
racist in your household,
when the orange man got elected, the first time my husband was like, so that's what you've been saying. I said, I've been telling you the whole time. I've been telling you at that point for almost 50 years. But it took this to help you see it, that I'm trying to tell you what they want. They want us to, they can't have not come up with a way to annihilate us.
Yes.
They have not. And so they constantly recruit people and give them proximity. And they recruited people into being white, because you remember, all of these people weren't considered all in one white group in the beginning.
No, that's right. We know that.
Italians were Italians, Polish were Polish.
Yes,
and
right.
They didn't want them in their group. But then they realized, well, we might need to recruit more people in our group. And so then they started also using the system where we're going to give some people the feeling that they get close to us, so we can use them against this. And they all against the one group. They're all against us. But they don't realize that you have everything you have because of us. That's why you have the access that you have. Is because of us.
Those amendments.
And Jazzy you put up Jazzy's statement a while ago. We're at the point of, how do we move in silence or stealthy, or the revolution not be televised? How do we move, and what do we do from this point forward? Because we do talk, and we have done some action. There's some things on changing the narrative. Is really like Gwendolyn when she makes her videos and post them. When you do what you do, right? All of those things are helping change the narrative. And what we have to do is diffuse how they use language. Like I told you all, I do not let them call it anything else. When people are having conversations with me, you can only use Affordable Health Care Act.
That's right. You do. You stop me.
People on the other side. Because that's all it is. That's a weapon.
Yes.
It's something to weaponize and get people to vote against something that they're living off of.
They've been used.
This is where your health care comes from. So it's Affordable Health Care Act. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that. But why? Because they wanted you to vote against to see the person first, this Black person first, before you actually saw your health. So we have got to change. Even when you look at
change
DEI,
the narrative, you
got to use, what does that entail? We got to stop asking people, what does it mean? We got to tell them what that entails. That's your right to have access to things. No longer use their language. We have to change the language. And I'd love to see more people who have platforms start to focus on what it is that you're talking about, and not just using DEI. Really say equal opportunity for
diversity,
employment, access to
equity,
education, veterans' rights to education, disabled people's rights to work and education. Because in the federal government, if you had a disability, that gave you an extra point. Because when I applied, I never worked for the federal government, but when I was applying and filling out applications, the people that had more access, that had that leg up over you, no matter who you were veterans and people with disabilities.
Yeah,
they were actually given more points for that. So
Well, it's the same thing when you go fly, right?
right. And so that's the same
The
thing.
veterans get rights to go on the plane first.
And child, when they say people who need extra time, I am 68. I'm gonna need some extra time to walk down that ramp. But anyway.
Well,
They
it's gonna be
remove
one
those
last.
benefits.
I want to, this is contained. It's connects to what we're talking about. While Dr. Tachi speaking, I'm going to get this on the screen. Go ahead, Dr.
Yeah, absolutely. So with regard to what Jazzy was saying and with Miss Alieze in terms of next steps, first of all, next steps we're not going to talk about on on social media, right? But there is something that's going on that I think is really cool. If you are still on TikTok, there has been this movement called Hillman Talk University. And I don't know if you've seen it, but obviously Hillman Talk is a throwback to Hillman that was on A Different World. And so it was actually started by one professor on there who's actually a professor. And it is now a whole free university. There are several
I heard about that this morning.
Professors who are teaching finances, African American history, all sorts of things. And these are all basically Black, and I think mostly Black, but there are a few of color, and people are, quote, enrolled. And all you have to do to enroll is just watch. And they're giving assignments. They have homework. You can contact them. So they've started a whole university. So where it's interesting because as we see the fall of, quote, federal funding for things, people have taken up the charge and like, well, we have to educate our own. And so they're in spring semester now, and they're getting ready to plan for summer semester. And I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And what I've seen is like, we've seen some non-melanated, some white people that are like just sitting in the back learning, writing, taking my notes. So they're, quote, enrolling to learn about these things. And I think that's an important first step.
Can make sure you send that link to me so we can share it tomorrow.
Absolutely.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Well, this right here is based on, remember when 9/11 happened? It was big here in New York. I don't know about the rest of the country, but I know here in New York, it was big for everyone to have a go bag. Remember that? Gwendolyn, you remember the go bag in New York City?
I do, because I had to get up and go. I mean, I'm just like
the go bag.
Yes,
So we all had to have a go bag in case there was another terrorist attack or something could happen where we had to flee the city or we had to evacuate. And so because of the California fires, this has become more of a topic again, and people saying, wait a minute, because so many people, it hit them so fast that they lost everything. They lost their documents. They lost their paperwork. They lost their pictures. They lost so much in the fires in California. And then also people are beginning to thinking about where we are in our political climate and that whole situation. So this is what this woman brought to attention. It was on, I do believe, NBC News dates. Okay, so here we go. Let me just pop this in here. And this is just so you can collect this information so that way you can have it. I'll put it also in the description. But this, I think, is so important. I do have some of this done, but I was like, whoa, I need to add this to my go bag. Here it goes.
Go list. Let's start with the basics, Evie. What are the personal documents that we all should have handy, ready to go? Digital copies and physical copies, right?
So let's start with, first, you're going to take this and you're going to scan this onto a thumb drive, right? This is where you're going to store all these digital copies so you can take with you, and you're going to keep it in your go bag, your emergency bag. So let's talk about personal documents that are important: birth certificate, passport, visa, social security card, driver's license, marriage license. Now you want this on the thumb drive. You also want hard copies of this because you have to think natural disaster. I might not be able to access a device. My phone might be dead. So you want to at least have these physical copies because you do need them to do things to check in place. I want people to have at least one statement of each of their credit cards, car insurance, home insurance, title deed, and any medical records you need. The other important thing is prescriptions. Throw your prescriptions in your go bag.
That's something that surprised me from one of your tips. You say people should actually take a video of their home or apartment, all of the different spots. Why is that important?
I want to say this first. I want you to think about the trauma that people go through in these emergency situations. So we're trying to set everybody up to make life easier and smoother after the fact. And I'll tell you, I dealt with this actually after 9/11 and even have it a home fire. One, it's going to help you remember
What you have.
everything you have in your house. And two, you have proof. And you have to prove, I did have this big screen TV.
Right.
I did have this, this technology in my home. So when you have this, it's gold.
We're going to walk you through a to go.
There you go. I thought it was. I have some of this stuff in a go bag, and it is so important because in the time of an emergency, your brain cannot think of what to get, to grab, to hold, because you're trying to get out. And when she talks about the hard copies, those zip bags are so important. Put all your, if these copies of your marriage certificates, all the bills, everything, put them inside of a beautiful Ziploc bag, and then put them into your go bag. So that's just something I wanted to throw at you guys, and so that way you can have, because we live in uncertain times, and that is something I think will help you have a little bit of peace of mind, so that way if something does happen in your home, or God forbid something happens in your city, your town, you can get back to your house, grab your bag, backpack, or wherever it is, and get on the road and go to wherever you need to be.
So, Ron, can I add something to that?
Yes.
So, thinking about the to-go bag, but I would say every time you leave your house, make sure you take an ID, credit card, debit card, whatever you need, because some of the people in California did not have the opportunity to grab a to-go bag if they had it, because the house burned down and they did not have a chance to get back to it.
Yes.
So thinking about worst case scenarios.
Yes.
And even some of the people in the hurricanes, they may not have been at home when some of the things were devastated. But you need to make sure you have your basic IDs with you at all times. Even if you like, oh, I'm going running, put that in there, take it with you in a fanny pack or whatever you have with you, because you never know when you're going to need that or when you need access. And I started thinking about that. I said, so if I have my purse or I have my little card, my holder that I have that with me. So if I can't get back to my house or my house burns down, I have my ID, I have a credit card, I have a debit card, I have some things I need, because I can't get back in there. So we also need to focus on what should we be carrying with us on a day-to-day basis when we leave our homes, in addition to what we need to have in our homes if we have the opportunity to grab that to-go bag.
Yeah, I've had since 9/11. I have a SD card drive, because in New York City you go to a bunch of fairs at Jacob Javits Center, and they always give you these little drive cards for gifts. So I would take those cards, I took a couple of them, and I get them all the time, and I erase what they have on it, and then I put my stuff on it, and so whenever I'm out the house, my passport, my passport is on that drive. It's on my key ring. So if something happens to me, if I get ran down or I can't get into the house, I still have my passport on my little drive. It's on my key ring everywhere I go. Now you can get the key ring, the SD cards with like a security on it. So that way people can't, if you happen to lose your keys, they don't have all your information. But it's good to have this information with you as much as you can, because we live in uncertain times. And if you are not feeling that now, like never before, they just also last night or yesterday, we are one hand tick to doomsday. They just did remember the world clock doomsday. They just moved us one more minute closer to doomsday in the world. So we live in uncertain times. Let's really focus on making sure that we have everything we need that's tangible But that go bag is so important. Keep it in the closet or area that you know is away from anything that is accessible. And that way, and it also, if you have papers that also need to be in documents, I told my family, you need to get a nice fireproof box, put it in a particular place in the house. So that way all your documents and stuff are in that fireproof box. You can get them on Amazon or any of these other places. I know we're probably protesting Amazon a little bit here, but you can get them from Lowe's or any of these places that are supporting us.
So my
Gwendolyn.
husband said someone's fireproof box in California burned up in the fire.
Oh,
They
really?
come in different
Yeah.
quality.
Well, they had a bad
So
quality.
you gotta make sure you
gotta get the good quality. You gotta get a good quality.
Because
That
he
was
said
what
they had a fireproof box, but it burned up.
It said fireproof, but it wasn't fireproof.
It definitely was not because it burned.
So
It said, let me see what one people were saying in the audience in the community. Lisa says we need to research because the firebox is burned in the fires, right? And also Lisa says these days we need is at all times because ICE is on the move.
Stopping everything.
Yes. There were several Americans that were taken and not arrested, but put in detainment.
They were detained.
They were detained, and they were American citizens. They were not. And I say it again, they were not immigrants. They were Americans. As a matter of fact, the woman she was sharing, she's from Jamaica. And but she's born here, her family's born here, and they detained her. Luckily, she had all her papers and everything that she needs. So this is even going back to South Africa, where you had to walk around with your papers,
right,
to prove you were a citizen, or you could be out at night or be, walking. So we don't know what's coming, guys. We don't know what's coming, but we need to be ready for whatever's coming.
Or the period of enslavement when if you were free, you had to have your freedom papers with you.
That's right, the freedom papers in America.
So we've had that in America before. So we have to think about all of those things like that could happen to us. And then one of the things, I don't know if I shared with you all on this platform, but I know I shared it with my family. I said they're going to start detaining Native Indigenous people.
And they did.
Because of
Navajo.
And so when I saw that, I told my daughter, I said, didn't I just say that they're going to detain them? Because they're going to say, hey, they look like them, so let's bring them all in. And I know they've gotten at least some people from at least one person from the Navajo Nation. And that's not going to be the last one.
No, it's not going to be last.
Because they can't, unlike the genius, quote unquote, the orange man, who says, I can tell on sight. You can't tell anything on sight.
That's right.
You cannot. If I change my name from Greenberg to Green, you don't know who I am. You don't know. You have no clue. You can't tell anyone from anyone else. And so that's exactly what's happening as they raid restaurants and all those things. I know. I don't know if you all saw the quote from the Illinois governor. He's a Democrat.
Yes.
He said, now, if you really want to deport criminals, my jails and prisons are open for you because we have some undocumented people in those jails and prisons. Do you want to come to prison?
You would think that would be the place they start, right?
That was never the intent, because this is about fear and intimidation. This is about planting fear in the hearts of everyone. You don't show up at a school elementary school in Chicago with the intent of looking for criminals. You went there to intimidate the staff and the children and the parents of those students. This is about fear and intimidation. And they're going to round up whomever. You're rounding up people who lived in Puerto Rico for over 30 plus years, and who are from the Dominican, and sending them back.
Yeah.
So they weren't criminals. They weren't reported as criminals. You're just rounding up anyone who right now you assume in some cases speak Spanish, but you also are rounding up Black people, because you can't look at us and tell where we're from either.
Well, hello. How many Black people you walk up to and speak Spanish, speak Japanese, speak all kinds of language, and you're like, wait a minute, that's a Black person. Yeah. So guys, what time is it? Let me get you guys out of here.
Look,
Okay,
I'm gonna give
we're
y'all
good.
something to laugh about.
Yes. So
I had
now
my ancestry done. My
you got your
African
ancestry
ancestry, I had
done.
all of it.
Here we go.
My people came from Benin.
Really?
They will let me in as a citizen. I just wanted to give y'all that one.
You're a Belizean.
And look, check it, have your DNA. If you see one drop of that Italian blood, I don't have it. I was looking for it, but trust and believe. Go and get your Italian citizenship. Don't stop at the continent.
I have Nigerian. I am Nigerian, so I have
Me
a lot
too.
of Nigerian. So,
but see, I have Nigerian too, but I also have my documents that say some of my people came from Benin. And see, as a Black American,
yes,
we have multiple people from the continent because of breeding.
Yes,
that we identify with as far as our bloodline.
Yeah,
even the
we're
tribes.
connected to the
African
world.
ancestry takes you back to the tribes too, but
Yeah.
your tribes are in there. But there's so much inside of us, and we can choose to claim the one that has the largest percent. But in times of like these, if it get a little crazy, I'm gonna claim that Benin part because I know, Nigerian haven't said they're gonna just let me in. Benin said if I got a document that says I got some of that in there, they're gonna let me in.
Oh, really?
I'm gonna go where it says
You better go get you better go get it. You better go get it.
If Nigeria
I'm
said
hearing
I can be there, Dr. Tachi, we can go there.
I'm hearing from a birdie in the community, Lisa. She says, "Wait, can we announce that Gwendolyn has merchandise now in her links?" Gwendolyn, do you have merchandise?
Well, I updated the links. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. So check out Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, where can people find you?
YouTube. YouTube is where I reside, and Blue Sky. And then I'm keeping Instagram to bring people to another place. But if I could just say one thing, if I may, really quick.
Yes.
We've talked a lot about all this stuff, and for some people it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
Understand this, the blessing of being able to get up and walk freely and truly enjoy life. That's a blessing. Grab onto that, right? If you got a community, grab on. If you don't have one, create one. But don't let this kind of stuff get you all riled up and get into a place of fear and depression and everything else. That's the point of all of this. So stay focused.
Yes.
I agree. I agree that 100%. Do things that make you happy. It's like someone said on one of the platforms I've been going through some of these YouTube and TikTok. I don't know where I am sometimes, but what the gentleman was saying is that you don't want to get stressed out with any of this. Take the information, learn it, process it, put it and make use of it. But at the end of the day, if you need to step away, step away. If you need to go for a walk and clear your mind, get out and clear your mind. If you feel like, oh, well, I can't hear Trump anymore. I can't hear any more about this, what he's doing. Step away, go to a movie, go take care of yourself, go to a spa, go to take a walk, go ride a bike. Take care of yourself. You are going to have to take care of yourself. We are going to have to take care of ourselves physically, emotionally, and mentally.
Look, I'm walking in. I told my people the other day, I said, what I felt so strongly since all this started is so much gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude. I'm so grateful for. And I told my husband, I said, I'm so grateful to have you. And we need to, because, we need to say that to people as well. Let them know how important they are to us, because we may say how it's not impacting us in a certain way, but it's actually impacting those we love in different ways, because we aren't the same. They're internalizing things differently, right? So we need to think about them as well, and just be in gratitude. And Ron, I believe in taking breaks and relaxing.
Yes, you do.
That's why tomorrow morning I'll be on a train headed toward Manhattan. I love New York. I'll be there for a few days, because that's where I get a lot of joy. I'm not connected to anything. I'm not trying to figure out social media. I'll meet people. I'll see art. But we have to take those moments for ourselves, the things that bring you. I saw something and it says, make sure you focus on those things that give you peace,
peace,
and joy and
joy,
happiness.
and
And
happiness.
reach out to your community so that they see you and they can all find some peace for themselves as well. I think that's one of the things that, and keep that pure heart. I think those
Yes.
are important.
Restore, grab over to some of Lisa's Hello Healing and get some of that healing stuff going on. It's so important that we take time to heal. And again, we got to look out for our mental health, our emotion, and our physical health. Okay, guys, I hope you got something out of this, guys. If you got something out of this, could you please give me hands up if you are in the community? I see there's still 19 of you still here. And if you got something out of it, put those hands up. I need to see some hands before we say goodbye. And again, I'll have all these links. Hands in the comments. Hands in the comments, y'all. Hands in the comments. Hit like if you are here. Remember, make sure you hit the likes. If you enjoyed this, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and also share it. Share our platform with your friends. Invite them. Hey, you know what? There's something. Even they don't have to come here live. You can also say, look, check out our platform. We have a community here, and we talk about things that are happening. We bring up information that everyone's sharing, so that we can all be informed and grow together. Thank you, Dr. Tachi, for popping on. You've been summoned, she said. I said, yes. And Alieze and Gwendolyn, thank you for joining me on this platform. You guys bring so much wisdom and so much and different points of view. And again, what I love about how we are hanging out here, we are educating each other, is that we don't always agree 100%. But what I do know is that I learn 100%. I learn from each person that has a voice. So that's the beauty of community. If you don't have one, create one or join one, because you're going to need community to get through this new chapter in American history. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to let you guys go. I see so much wisdom in the building, says Rosemary. I see, can the 4 panelists fill out my book review, please, from Lisa? Okay, I'll make sure I do that because I have her book. And I see all the hands, got all the hands that popped up. Well, get your faces on here. All the hands that came into play here. There's Charlene. And yeah, all you wonderful folks out there. Thank you so much for joining me today. And guys, have a great hump day. Have some fun. I'm going to be photographing this evening in Midtown. Woo! I'm glad for the work, though. I am so glad to be busy. Work is good when you're busy and making some money. Okay. And I think I did mention to some of you, I will be having surgery in February, around the week of the 17th. And so I may be on here live from a hospital bed. It will be my first time in the hospital for several. I've never stayed overnight in a hospital. And so this is going to be my first time. They're expecting me to stay for 3 days. So yeah.
Right, I'm going to tell you, do it before the anesthesia, because when my husband went to the hospital, I don't know what he was talking about with those bananas, but do it before the anesthesia.
Be careful.
So I won't
remember it at all.
I will be there for 3 days. I said, as long as I have my devices, I will be fine. No one orders TVs these days at a hospital. So anyway, I'll have my earplugs and everything on and doing obviously work from bed. And I probably will come on live. Who knows? If I look decent. If I look jacked up, you know I'm not coming on, because I am vain that way. I can't look jacked up on screen. So that's just can't do it. I can watch some people laying back in the bed and all that stuff with the curls in their hair and nope, you won't catch me. You will not get a clip of me looking like the trash bag. No, you will not.
My God.
Anyway, goodbye, guys. I'm out of here. Love y'all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.